Packard, and the guy sold it to me for 46 because the war, they stopped making them in 42 because of the war. In 46 they started up again. They had the same old molds and everything left, or metal stamps or whatever. So the only way you knew was through the serial number. When I went to sell it, the guy was going to give me something like, I don't know, $400 or $600 or something for it. And then when he looked up the serial number, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry." He says, "I can't do this." He said, "It's actually a 42." So I said, "Well, gee, the guy sold it to me for 46." He said, "Well, you got hooked." So I sold it anyway. I got something like $200 less for it. This is a, I don't know if it's a fire tower or a telephone tower or what. There wasn't a soul around. There's a building down below. We walked up to the top of that thing. And see those things there? I guess that's telephone, isn't it?
Yeah,
those
TV.
dishes.
Yeah, some.
I don't know if it's TV back in those days.
That's cool. Yeah.
We had a TV set. We had one in 47 or something like that. But maybe it's TV. I couldn't tell you.
That looks like Pat. That looks like Pat when I look at you, old Mary. If your hair is blonde.
Pedagogue shoes, ankle straps.
No, this is back in our yard in Miners Village again, raking the lawn.
Okay, the boy is
the
a
guy
neighbor
mowed.
boy.
He's a neighbor kid.
That mowed the lawn.
Johnny Whitman, right?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Yeah, they wanted to get rid of their dog. And
this is me, and this is Natalie, and I'm running the mower. Now, the kids asked me if that was a power mower. I said, no, it was a push mower. We didn't have power mowers. That lady there is a neighbor across the street.
That's a power mower.
That's a power
Oh,
mower.
it is a power mower?
Yeah, just a different kind. They didn't have they had this, the first ones had the motor on a reel type, see that?
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought it went pretty fast.
Joe Gristy.
This
That
is
guy
another neighbor.
lived next 2 doors away from us.
These are neighbors.
Him and his wife got in a scrap one time and he broke all her dishes.
Oh, now there's our dog Judy.
Yeah, that was our dog Judy.
That's like the dog we have now,
that's
right?
the open pit mine right there in Cornwall. It's about, I think it's about 400 feet deep. They used to have trains went round and round and round and round, and they'd go down to the bottom, they'd load them with ore, and they'd bring them back out. Later they got these great big trucks that used to bring it out. And at this part here, they were just about done taking all of it, so they went and took the rest from underground. Otherwise that'd take too much up the sides off. Now we're on our way down to Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. This is I don't know, probably Virginia. I can't quite remember.
We did that in North Carolina.
Cape Hatteras, North Carolina? I don't think we were down that far. Where was Kitty Hawk? We'll see that after a while.
Yeah, that's...
Kitty Hawk is North Carolina, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something made me think this was Virginia. I think we see some kind of a hospital, a veterans hospital, that thing there.
Okay.
I think that had something that said Virginia on it.
Now this would have been around 1953.
Yeah. So is this the time I went down with my dad?
Yeah, we went down.
This was funny. Now Ruthie was pregnant then, and Ruth and Mel, her brother-in-law, or Mel's brother, he was going into dentistry.
That's me and Dad.
That's my dad. He was going into dentistry, and they taught him hypnosis. See Ruthie there? She's, I don't know, she got, how far pregnant were you?
I had Natalie about 3 months, Joe about 3 months later.
She had Joe about 3 months later, and Ruthie was worried about going, and he hypnotized her and said, you'll go down, you'll go back, you won't feel a pain, and you'll have a perfect delivery, and you won't be scared or nothing else. And it happened just like that. They call it post-hypnosis. She went down and back, and no worries, no frets, no nothing.
All these cracks are old film.
Cracks are in the film.
You had them stored.
The color seemed to be worse cracked in the black and white, and the black and white were older.
We had them stored for a long time in the summer.
I tried to get these all in order, but they're somewhat out. Later I missed, there was a couple of them that were out of order. In fact, I found another half a dozen of them. I got to add them all together someday.
That's what all those cracks are.
That looks like almost Chesapeake Bay Bridge there, over, going to Virginia. That's what that looked like to me.
Oh, huh.
That you were
Well,
going
maybe
over.
catch a sign
Yeah,
here. Dare County Kitty Hawk.
Yeah, that's what that is. And Monument is where
Kitty
the
Hawk, I think it's North
Wright
Carolina, isn't
brothers
it?
took off in the first airplane. Here we're waiting for the ferry.
Yeah, this is North Carolina here.
This would be
We get a that's the ferry. Later it sank. It could only carry 11 cars.
It looks really.
Fortunately, we were on it when it sank.
It looks really.
But we
safe,
had two
doesn't it?
rides. They get a 20-minute ferry ride
Now
from the
when you think about
mainland
it,
in North Carolina over to Cape Hatteras.
For how much? Remember?
I don't know.
Probably
I
50
no, I
cents.
kind of think it was free. I think it's the state
Oh yeah, I think it was.
I think this-
state.
this
because it was that's the only way you could
state
get
owned and
there.
operated. That's the only way people get there. It's part of the
Yeah,
highway
yeah.
system.
But it was really dinky when you think about it with all cars and everything. It must have been pretty good shape, heavy. Just float across the water like that.
Now here, I guess, from the other side. Or
Yeah.
no, I guess we're taking off. We're leaving. Yeah, there's our car. No, how can that be?
Oh, yeah,
It's got to be somebody else's car. Ours is on the thing.
Yeah, yeah, we're moving now.
I guess they all looked alike back then.
Back then, those cars were heavy too.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, that's it.
Can you imagine?
The ferry, that's it. Water sloshing in.
You think about it, that was pretty, we must have been pretty brave to get on that plane.
Nah. My dad and Dean were stuck there one night. They missed the ferry. They had to sleep out overnight. And he said, boy, it was hot. If you opened the windows, the mosquitoes came in and got you. And he said, if you closed the windows so hot you couldn't breathe. And he said, boy, the mosquitoes were driving them crazy. So, but they had to stay there till the next day. And you had to park on boards. It was so hot. And they didn't have any rocks there. It was all tar and sand mixed together. So they parked on boards while you're waiting for the ferry, because otherwise you'd sink down into the tar.
Oh,
You
yeah,
just like in
yeah.
snow, you couldn't get out. But, you know, if the day wasn't real hot, they didn't have to do that. Now this is down at the very bottom, 60 miles away at Cape
Cape
Hatteras,
Hatteras.
down in the corner.
Now
Where
they
they have
tell
a
me
weather
this is all
station.
built up into really nice, looks really nice down there, but this is exactly
Yeah, they
what-
said everything's, there's the whale that washed the shore, and it's 16 foot long. We figured it was a baby whale. I don't know how big they're supposed to get, but my dad cut a tooth out of him. I have it around here somewhere. See him
There
cutting
he's
it out?
working
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
And later, he came back and he decided, I wonder what blubber's like. So he sat on him like a horse, straddled him, and plugged him like a watermelon.
Oh, thank
And when he did, you could hear it hiss, and because all blown up from the sun.
Yeah.
And that hiss and that stink all over the beach. There wasn't much, you know, there wasn't clean sand, clean everything, because there's nobody there. But that whole area, boy, it stank so bad we had to get out of there. Now he's back in 707 North 8th Avenue in Lebanon. This is his house. He had 2 acres here, and a house with the 2 acres. It was a farm, and they sold off the land to some housing developments. And
I can't believe
This
the
is
size
his
of that
house.
cigarette in his mouth. It's like a pipe.
Oh, it looked like he was going to stand there and go to the bathroom. That's what
No,
I
he's-
think he just stood up
he's in
there.
that high grass there, or whatever it is.
Yeah, this is the house.
That's his house. It's the 2 sides. He has tenants on one side, he was on the other. And over the top, we had our apartment.
No, there's your pigeons.
Yep, there's the pigeons.
Well, that was a humdinger of a coat, wasn't it, that I had?
Yeah, we saw one recently, just that style seemed to come back. We saw a coat not too long ago, just like it almost. That's one of the outbuildings around there. Now we're somewhere
I think we're somewhere in
shooting fireworks
I think it might be there.
there.
I
I
think
know
they
we
did.
Yeah, it must
Now
have
this
been.
back in Cornwall.
Now we're
that's
back in
Natalie.
Miners Village again, Cornwall, back at the ore mines.
That's the back
And
of
this
the
is our
house.
backyard. Ruthie's spreading a blanket for the baby.
That's
That's
Joe.
Joe now, growing up a little bit bigger. And
That's the first we saw Joe. We
Oh,
were
is
seeing
this the
it. Yeah,
first?
This is the first
Okay.
we've seen Joe. Yeah. She was
so
completely naked. So we saw her before that, but this is the
don't
first time
seem
we
to
took
like the
pictures.
sunshine.
Yeah. This is the first time we took pictures of her. Uh-oh, roll over. Looks like she doesn't even, can't sit even at this age. Looks like she's too tiny. Well, this would be like, she was born in February, so this might have been March or April.
Warm enough to get outside. Anyway.
June, July,
Yeah.
even. Look at the size of that ball.
Yeah, I can remember back then when they made huge balls like that, you know? They don't do that.
Yeah,
They don't make
do
big
that.
ones like that anymore.
And that's Natalie again. You know, when Patty was her same age, when we drug these movies out and looked at them, and I kept calling her Patty, 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 and Ruth kept saying, no, that's Natalie, that's Natalie. But Patty was a spitting image at the same
Yeah,
age,
yeah, she does.
and it just looked just like, I kept so close that I kept calling her Patty. All the way up from the black and whites to this age.
Well, you see the Pat's pictures. She looks a lot like her. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot like her.
Now we got some clothes on Joe.
There's a dog.
Daddy's gonna hold her. Yeah, if you look again, you'll see Judy here somewhere.
I
That
did. She
dog,
was there. See that white thing over there?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
it
neighbor's
is.
cat house. They used to have a cat tied to that, just like you'd have a dog. One time, him and his wife went walking up the backyard, and she's at night. They used to park their cars down the back, walk up towards the back door, and his wife says, "Joe, Joe, help me." He says, "What's the matter?" She says, "Get me, help me."
I
And
fell in the hole.
he says, "Well, where are you?" She says, "I fell in a hole." So he went up, turned on his porch light.
Yeah.
He says, all I could see was her head sticking out. This ground got thin and washed away. Years ago, they had some kind of pipeline they put down through there. And all it was just the sod holding it together. They come walking up. They're both heavy, 200 plus, you know. And they come walking by, and he kept walking, and she disappeared. She sank down in the hole. So he had to pull her out. And I was telling you that he broke all her dishes one day when they had a fight. I fell asleep in the other neighbor's swing, and he said to me, he said, shh. He says, and he was pretty deaf. He said, he started talking quiet. He said, they're fighting. And he was back in here all like crashing, and boom, and she come out dustpan after dustpan of dishes. Said he broke all my dishes. Then later he went and bought her new dishes.
This is next door neighbors. I got
Yeah,
here.
this is our side neighbors.
Yeah, this
All the
is
houses
next
and
door
neighbors.
That's,
You and a neighbor share a house.
Yeah, they're double house. Like.
All stone houses. I did tell you these days rented for $15 a month.
That's very
And the
Yeah,
people
this is
really raised
Natalie.
came and raised them to $18.
Yeah,
So some of them wrote to Harrisburg. Rent control was right after the war. And they said the only thing we could advise is that they raise them at least $50 a month.
These are all the neighbors. These are all the neighbor people.
Oh, sure. I was
friends.
paying $65 a month before I moved.
Yeah.
Before I moved out
This is-
here, and then I
this is the
paid
neighbors.
15. That was like, give me a
Every time
$50 raise.
But I
Yeah.
think his picture he'd hide.
Who's that? Who's that?
These are all neighbors.
They call his name Juki.
Yeah, this
There's
is,
my cousin Elvin Heller. Oh, okay.
and
Now
this
we
is
are
Marty
in,
Dilger.
we are in Jonestown.
Yeah, and this is
and-
his wife, all right, that's Leah.
Is this Heller's
What
house
they
or
got?
is this
Yeah,
Marty
what they got
Diller?
there?
Fireworks.
Oh.
Was this
That's-
Dillinger's?
Yeah, Marty Dilger,
Was it Diller's house or Heller's?
Hellers.
Heller's house. I can't remember that house too well.
Elva.
Oh yeah, I know where that house is.
Here we are getting some fireworks and stuff, loading the
Load the
car.
car to go. It was
We
Marty's car.
we
and
went-
went back down to Cape Hatteras again with
With-
these guys.
With another couple, Elva and Elvin Heller, Leah's cousin Elvin and his wife Elva, and then Leah and me. Here are the three of us.
That's the
What's
three
his
women.
wife's name? What was Marty's wife's name? You remember? I know
No,
something. I remember Marty, but I don't remember his.
I
wife's
don't know
name.
her name.
Anyway, then her wife is in the purple.
There's
There's
me
me
in
with
my
a hat.
hat with a rabbit tail on the valve, look like. On the
Oh.
top, rather. Drinks. No, didn't say who it was. Where we
There's a
are.
little store we stopped at.
Don's. Oh, I'd say we're pretty well down there.
And what is that? What's that, the sun in the back?
We're going-
No, that's land. Oh, here we're all the way down there already. There's the ferry.
Same old ferry.
Same old ferry. We got on that one, and boy, did we take off coming home because we thought we were going to miss it and would have to stay. It was the last one leaving. That guy was really burning up the road trying
Look
to
at this truck.
get up and get it. Yeah.
Look at that nice red truck. Like that one I had.
That is it.
That's got to be on the ferry there.
What's the ferry?
Is that the same one?
I don't know. There it's coming in.
It's probably coming in to pick
Yeah,
us
it's
up.
probably coming in. We're
Yeah.
gonna take it. The kids asked if we had motorboats back in those days. That's what we thought we lived.
Who asked? Who said
Well, it
that?
was one of your kids asked.
Oh, man.
Uh,